Cold War world order. Some conflicts can go hot in the blink of an eye, regardless of what is going on globally. The Indo-Pakistan.
I wonder if this guy who is very obviously British, or he learned English from British people, I wonder if he's going to talk about the fact that, like, this whole India-Pakistan contradiction, that, like, he's correct. This shit can go hot at any minute. It's hot now. But I wonder if he's going to trace this back to Winston Churchill and the machinations of the United Kingdom, hopefully not united for long after India's successful struggle for independence. Like, anything that goes wrong in the Middle East, anything that goes wrong in this area of the world can be directly traced back to either the British or the Americans. That's simply how it is.
Conflict is one of those. These countries have gone to war against.
Also, it's Victory Day. If you don't like living under a Nazi fascist regime, thank a commie. Luckily, you have a commie right here. Thank me.
Each other for Kashmir immediately after the Second World War in 1947, at the height of the Cold War in 1965 and 1971, and then in 1999, which was the peak of Pax Americana and a relatively peaceful time. You can check out our videos about the earlier war.
A relatively peaceful time? Well, he did say relatively, but I'm pretty sure we were bombing Yugoslavia in 99.
On our channel. But now in 2025, India and Pakistan may be on the brink of another war. In this video, we describe the causes and potential consequences.
Aren't they, like, if you're sending missiles and planes into somebody else's territory, aren't you, like, kind of at war?
Of the recent escalation between India and Pakistan. Every week, we release 3 new exclusive videos for our members and patrons. The Pacific War, the Eastern Front of World War II Prelude, and many other series, including the War of Spanish Succession.
I could have sworn it was May 8th. Did they change it? Huh. Interesting. I guess it is the 9th.
Punic Wars, Iberian...
My mistake.
Reconquista...
See, I'm thoroughly capable of self-criticism.
Russian Revolution and Civil War, North African and Italian campaigns of World War II, and much more. It has been long overdue, but we have finally created a YouTube channel exclusively those, as well as...
It's technically both, because the treaty was signed in the evening. How the fuck do y'all remember this shit? This shit happened long before either of us was born, and y'all remember it.
Let's get access to our...
Oh yeah, Wikipedia rabbit holes.
Exclusive Discord, see our schedule, and get early access to all...
Kings and Generals is a guilty pleasure of mine. Yes, I know they are, like, liberals, verging rightist, but there's simply no communist that's producing content like this. Maybe I should start.
Videos.
No, just the immense amount of research that is required for one of these things, just one of these videos, is murder on my ADHD.
Join the ranks of our patrons and YouTube members via the link.
This guy, Robert Provost, he's Prevost. He's Pope Leo Roman numerals, whenever the fuck. I think the 14th. XIV. Anyways, I'll talk about him later. Let's talk about India and Pakistan.
Links in the description and pinned comment. Thanks to our supporters for allowing us to continue doing our dream job. It would be an exaggeration to claim that the disputed region has been peaceful since then, as numerous skirmishes fought between the Indian and Pakistani militaries in Kashmir, and several deadly terrorist attacks by fundamentalist groups in India-administered Kashmir and India.
Quit categorizing every, like, armed resistance movement as being fundamentalist. Yes, there are fundamentalist Muslims in the region, but there are also people who do not like being under India's boot heel.
Demonstrated
there's levels to this shit.
That the Indo-Pakistani conflict still had explosive potential. Having said that, Kashmir and Indo-Pakistani relations had been relatively stable after the 1999 war up until 2019, when a suicide bombing carried out by an Islamist group called Jaish-e-Mohammed killed 40 Indian paramilitaries in Kashmir. India retaliated by...
Why are there Indian paramilitaries in Kashmir?
By revoking the special status of the India-administered portion of Jammu and Kashmir, significantly limiting its autonomy. New rules allowed outsiders to buy land and live and work in Jammu and Kashmir for the first time, a move...
That's why people are trying to kill you.
That pleased the Hindu nationalist support base of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while causing outrage among the...
So you cannot just let people, outsiders, come in and buy up the land and make money while the people live in poverty. That's a very, very nice way to organize inadvertently a resistance movement.
Muslim population of Kashmir, which feared that this move would drastically change the demographics of the disputed region.
That was India's goal all along, I'm pretty sure.
The Modi government also launched a heavy crackdown on local insurgent groups, which they accused of being backed by Pakistan, and imposed heavy security measures there. The Indian government has since boasted of solving the security crisis in the region, even though
That's why you never boast.
Insurgency still continues. India poured money into developing the infrastructure of Kashmir and to
For the Indian compradors and capitalists, not for the indigenous people of the region. Like, this is the thing that gets you about colonizers. They always talk about how they developed the region. Okay, yeah, the Europeans did build railroads in Africa, but were they for the benefit and aggrandizement of the indigenous Africans? Of course not. They weren't building railroads for black people. They were building railroads to facilitate the theft of African resources and minerals. That's why they built them. Anything that a colonizer builds in an area that they've colonized is for his own benefit, not for the benefit of the indigenous people. Guess who's made to build the railroads? Guess who dies building the railroads through the jungles and through the mountains? The indigenous people. But how much of the money that comes from these railroads goes into the pockets of the indigenous people? Zero, zilch, nada. Oh, we created jobs. Yeah, what type of jobs? Jobs where you get your hand hacked off for not producing enough rubber? I won't call that a job.
to some extent succeeded in turning this beautiful region into a tourist destination.
Jammu and Kashmir is extremely beautiful. Like, probably one of the most beautiful. Maybe it's just because I have a giant fucking hard-on for mountains, but it is some of the most beautiful country in the world. But as we know, like Afghanistan is too, beautiful areas do not necessarily lend themselves to peace, especially when there are colonizers in the mix.
2024, a record 3.5 million people visited Kashmir, as Modi lauded his government's heavy security measures for normalizing the situation in the state and calling it open for business. But the brutal and heinous terrorist attack that took place on April 22nd
Jesus, this guy sounds like British Bernie Sanders.
Showed that the security problem in Kashmir is far from resolved. On this day, an organization called the Resistance Front, thought to be an offshoot of a recognized terrorist organization called Lashkar-e-Taiba, which India accuses of being supported by the Pakistani government, killed 26 tourists near Pahalgam. All but one of the executed tourists were Indian, and this terrorist attack caused major outrage in India. Modi, who was on an official visit to Saudi Arabia, immediately returned home and ordered several retaliatory acts against Pakistan. India's foreign secretary announced that India was imposing a travel ban for all Pakistani nationals, cancelling their visas, shutting down the integrated border checkpost at Attari Wagah, expelling Pakistani military advisors at the Pakistan High Commission in New Delhi, and withdrawing their counterparts from Islamabad. But India's most significant and consequential retaliatory measure was the suspension of the 1960 Indus Waters Treaty. Pakistan has already called it an act of war. Why is it such a big deal? This treaty, which was brokered by the World Bank, is a water-sharing agreement where India and Pakistan split the Indus River basin, with Pakistan controlling the westward tributaries and India the eastward ones. These rivers are vital for Pakistan.
This is one of the cradles of civilization, by the way. Like, extremely ancient, extremely old. Humans like rivers because humans like eating, and rivers are very, very conducive to our being able to eat well. So, it's sad. It's sad. Like this area right here, the Indus Valley, that was where humans first started. Well, there were several so-called cradles of civilization. You of course had the Nile area in Egypt. You had the Mesopotamia region in the Middle East. It literally means between the rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, that gave birth to Samaria, Babylon, all those places. You had the Yellow River in China. Yeah. We like rivers.
And agriculture
But humans also like fighting, unfortunately.
and food security. Even during the 1965, 1971 and 1999 wars, India refrained from blocking the flow of rivers to Pakistan. But this time, the Indian government intends to make sure that not even a drop of water goes to Pakistan, according to India's Water Power Minister Patil. But how are they going to do that in practice? According to a BBC article on this matter, India's existing water infrastructure.
A Bangladeshi dude that says that part of him dies every time India and Pakistan fight each other. Yeah, I mean, you're from that region, and You know what happens when the elephants fight.
Currently lacks the capability to implement this plan. It does not have the storage capacity to hold the massive volumes of water they intend to keep from Pakistan. They do not have an extensive canal network necessary to divert so much water. Experts note that in the absence of such infrastructure, India risks flooding its own territory, since its dams are far from Pakistani territory. Sources from the Indian government say that they're working on mid-term and long-term solutions to implement.
You know, Kassan, you are very consistent. One thing that I will give you is that no matter what I'm talking about, no matter what people in chat are talking about, you are going to come in with your geopolitical hot takes.
The suspension of the treaty, which includes building up India's capacity to retain and divert water flowing to Pakistan, construction of new water storages, and desilting rivers. So in a nutshell, this component of India's retaliation will start hurting Pakistan not immediately, but only after and if India goes through with its plan to renovate and expand its water infrastructure.
You should have done all this before fucking blocking off the river, bro.
But India can immediately stop sharing hydrological data with Pakistan, which according to the BBC is crucial for flood forecasting and planning for irrigation, hydropower and drinking water. This would essentially make Pakistan blind about what is happening upstream, creating risks of floods, droughts and food shortages as a result. But Pakistani sources note that even before India suspended the treaty, they had not been sharing all of the expected data with them. Due to the vital nature of the treaty for Pakistan, its government released a strongly worded statement condemning India and vowing to respond with full force across the complete spectrum of national power. As mentioned already, Pakistan sees the suspension of the water treaty as an act of war, which makes the situation—
Because it kind of is. Like, I'm not a fan of Pakistan, but like, yeah, like if we're both reverend countries, if we both depend heavily on the fucking rivers, and you start fucking with the rivers and you don't share data with me, and now my people are starving and they can't grow their shit, and now we've got floods and droughts and shit. Yeah, that is kind of an act of war, bro. Like, I would be kind of pissed at you. I would be militarily pissed at you.
Situation unpredictable, creating a real risk of military escalation between two nuclear nations. Pakistan has called for the World Bank and the international community to interfere with India's decision to suspend the treaty. Along with that, Pakistan has also suspended the 1972 Simla Agreement, which is the peace treaty between India and Pakistan, posturing readiness to use military force. They have also closed airspace to Indian aircraft and responded in kind, such as suspending visas of Indian citizens, expelling Indian diplomats and military advisors, along with cutting off all trade with India. The Pakistani government has also called for a neutral investigation of the terrorist attack in Kashmir and has strongly denied its involvement in it. Of course, another round of the Indo-Pakistani confrontation could not have been complete without a military buildup and a threat of military action by both sides. Immediately after the terrorist attack, the Indian Army and its other security agencies launched a security sweep in the area looking for the perpetrators, following Modi's vow to pursue them to the ends of the earth. Residences of at least 5 suspected perpetrators have already been destroyed by the Indian security forces, while skirmishes have occurred between them and local insurgents. There have also been exchanges of small arms fire on the line of contact between India and Pakistan. As of late April, the military reaction on both sides has been restrained. This indicates that the most likely scenario from the military perspective is limited to border skirmishes and artillery duels. India could also potentially conduct small cross-border operations and surgical strikes against militant camps as a punitive action against the April 22nd attack. Pakistan may potentially respond in kind and even launch small tactical-scale ground operations of their own in retaliation. At this point, a conventional full-scale war is not very likely. India is a retaliating side here, and there is a chance that after carrying out surgical strikes and operations against insurgent camps, including those responsible for the Pahalgam attack, they may declare victory to appease public opinion, while making sure that their actions do not provoke a bigger response from Pakistan. But this may change if India starts implementing the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty in practice. As discussed earlier, this scenario may be truly disastrous for Pakistan, and
India. Like, people forget that Pakistan also has nukes. Pakistan also has very, very advanced military capabilities. Like, there would be a lot of people dead. There would be a lot of people fucked up on both sides.
Backed into a corner, Islamabad may resort to doing something more drastic than minor cross-border raids to force New Delhi into policy reversal if their diplomatic efforts do not work. Whether Pakistan has the military and economic potential to truly hurt India, which has been gradually modernizing its military by purchasing advanced equipment both from the West and Russia, is a huge question, particularly at a time
Right now, half of Peru is celebrating because the Pope has Peruvian nationality and lived here for more than 40 years, being a bishop in the region of Chiclayo.
when Pakistan's
Imagine he ran across some of the old PCP cadre back in the day.
long-standing
I believe he went over there in like the mid-'80s.
ally, the United
Yeah,
States,
he spent most of his life outside of the United States.
is seeking closer
Still a Chicagoan though.
relations with India. This is not the first time the tensions between India and Pakistan have flared up after the 1999 war, so there is a good chance that a major escalation may still be avoided. Having said that, there is also a chance that these tensions may ignite a conflict, given that India is vowing to carry out a retaliatory measure which it has not used before. So far, we have seen a lot of bellicose rhetoric on both sides, and little to no outside attempt to mediate.
The Pakistanis have been going ham. Like, I thought the Brazilians were the most hostile people on the internet. No, Pakistanis, I think, have them beat.
The situation. As the American South Asia expert Michael Kugelman said, "We have two nuclear-armed neighbors staring at each other. All bets could be off." A few hours before the release of this episode, videos showing India conducting strikes in the Pakistani-controlled portion of Kashmir were circulated. According to the Indian military, the strikes are targeting terrorist groups and deliberately avoiding Pakistani military installations. Despite that,
That's bullshit. If you're solely after like people that you define as terrorists, you would not be blowing up little kids.
Al Jazeera reported that an old airport was attacked in Muzaffarabad, while Reuters reported at least 2 explosions in the Indian-controlled regions of Kashmir. We're going to continue talking about this situation in the coming days and weeks, so make sure you are subscribed.
Thank you, very nasally British man. This is cool.
Every night.
Wait, that's old. This is like they used to do this every. I don't think they're still doing this anymore. But these are Indian and Pakistani Rangers. This is how they close the border. Like you basically have your biggest dudes from both sides come out and do this. This is so fucking cool. America and Mexico and America and Canada should start doing this. Rock. So yeah, this Yankee Pope Leo the 14th.
Francis has been sitting next to chief diplomat, if you
aware of the need for secrecy
Following rules. This is an ancient tradition that has been laid down for generations.
Robert Provost. From what I've read about him, he's a centrist.
Revised
in the coming months or
each of them
making their way United States of subjects. Of course, the
Honorum Principis Apostolos Burguesius Romanus Pontius Maximus something Roman letters, Roman numerals. Honor the first principal Apostle Paul and the citizens of Rome. I don't read Latin.
World waiting to hear.
If the Pope is progressive, we will call him Peruvian. And if he is a Hitlerite, he will be called a Yankee or Gringo. Well, he's going to be called a Yankee or Gringo regardless because he is a Yankee.
From the next Pope, Robert Francis.
Hey, Boricua.
Prevost, of course, the Cardinal from Chicago, originally born there, 69 years old. For the past 2 years, he served as the head of the Vatican's powerful group of to be a diplomat within the church. Is an extraordinary piece of history.
What the fuck are they doing back there?
Unfold here today. The first Pope chosen from the United States.
Cautious and discreet.
It's wild we had a Yankee Pope before we had a Filipino Pope. Like, that's how you repay these people's loyalty?
Than Pope Francis. But it makes sense because he has been the point person.
And the conclave only took 2 days. That's why I'm calling this a coup. Like, y'all literally sent the Chicago boys and J.D. Vance and all the rest of the spicy boys out there to be like, look, the next Pope is going to be ours. He still has Italian blood, though. Like, what is it with these people and their fascination with ensuring that the Pope has some type of Italian roots? Like the last Pope, Pope Francis, his real last name was Bergoglio or something like that.
So many of these bishops worldwide.
And then the one before him was a literal Nazi, Benedict Ratzinger. Then the one before him was a Polak.
That he already had a number.
In honor of Paul, first apostle and maximum priest of the city of Rome.
Of touch points than going into this
I don't want a Pope from St. Louis. I don't want all these fucking people coming here.
Conclave. He's also described as having a heart of a missionary and years of ministerial experience, with, of course, is very important. There were a number of people who were considered to be front runners and on the short list, but they didn't.
And it is true.
Of course, the guy named Gracchus Veritas knows how to read Latin. Like, I can make out some words because there's a lot of Latin words in English, but, like, yeah, I can't read Latin. I have not seen a J.D. Vance edit of him as Pope. I've seen a Trump edit of this Pope, which is kind of silly because Trump is Presbyterian. Well, lapsed Presbyterian. Pope Leo the Fourth. What? I wonder what made him choose Leo. Oh, yeah. Let's see what we know about this guy. Rome is a very beautiful city. I heard it smells like shit and there's pigeons everywhere, but that's Europe for you. Yeah, Robert Francis Prevost, very Catholic name, was elected the 267th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church and took the name Pope Leo XIV, becoming the first Pope from the United States and defined the conventional wisdom before the conclave that any American would be a long shot to become pontiff. A puff of white smoke from a chimney above the Sistine Chapel signaled that the Cardinal, sequestered inside for 2 days, had elected a new leader for the world's 1.4 billion Roman Catholics. This is why I laugh at people who make a habit of insulting Catholicism and the Pope. Like, yes, they have a shitload of problems. Like, a shitload of problems. I went to a Catholic university. But how exactly is pissing off 1.4 billion people? Like, how many communists are there in the world? I'm not talking about, like, Chinese revisionists. I'm talking about, like, actual hardcore communists. like maybe 50,000. So just by numbers alone, we're swamped. Same thing. Like the left has, I found out last week, very, very strong Islamophobic tendencies. Like, well, what exactly do you hope to accomplish? Like, you're not going to convince these people to forget the catechism. You're not going to convince these people to forget the Shahada. So leave people in their faith alone. You learned ecclesiastical Latin in high school. I bet you got all the fucking. I bet you had Riz out the ass, bro. Oh yes, I'm studying ecclesiastical Latin. The Cardinals reached their decision after being in conclave for a little more than 24 hours and after several rounds of voting. I thought these things usually last like a week. He's a member of the Order of St. Augustine. He resembles Francis in his commitment to the poor and migrants and to meeting people where they are. Oh, that's kind of Maoist. He told the Vatican's official website last year that the bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom. He has spent much of his life outside the United States. Ordained in 1982 at age 27, he received a doctorate in... Hold on. Can I please adjust it? Yeah. When my PC updates, it throws all my shit out of whack. Hold on. I will fix it for you. Is this better? No problem. Anyways, so they don't know what his position is going to be regarding gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender Catholics. But he has said some pretty concerning things in the past, talking about the homosexual lifestyle and alternative families composed of same-sex partners and their adopted children. So yes, very Catholic, very, like, somewhat old school, somewhat new school. The idea of an American Pope has apparently like been something that people have been laughing at, but like we have a shitload of Catholics here. So yeah. Chicago Catholics, listen to me. If you're near a monastery right now, any type of 24-hour church facility, go into the church right now and put your hand in the collection basket for no reason. Their money is your money as of right now. A guy in Boardwalk Empire named Jip Rosetti beat up a priest and took money. And this guy has gotten a shitload of followers, because I should be one of them. But yeah, don't do that. You're going to accumulate the bad version of whatever Catholic karma is called. Look, don't do shit like this. And this isn't even because little dude was white. But like, don't go banging on people's doors at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get TikTok clout. You're going to be shot. You're going to be shot. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't care, black, white, whatever. Like, that's just common fucking sense. I understand that, like, your orbital plates or whatever in your brain do not close until you're, like, 29 years old. But don't do stupid shit like this. No, like, what exactly do you hope to gain? You're going to die. Somebody's going to shoot you. This is America. People have guns. So Shiloh Hendricks, that lady that cursed out an autistic little black kid, like a 5-year-old kid, claimed she needed protection, and stupidly, because America is like that, thought that she would make a fundraising campaign, and she brought in over $600,000, enough to buy a pretty decent house. But an activist in Atlanta named Keandria Damone is making sure that she don't get none. You don't get to traumatize a black child and then turn around and collect the check. That is very true, sis. After confirming that Square wasn't processing any of these payments, Damone turned her attention to Give, Send, Go and started a full-blown digital campaign, pressuring the platform and any financial entities involved to shut the money flow down. Meanwhile, the Rochester Police Department has completed its investigation and sent its findings to the city attorney, who may or may not be filing charges against Hendricks. Either way, she may not see a dime of this money, nor should she. And I say this as the McDonald's and Coca-Cola billboards go up in St. Peter's Square, but they're not showing that because they don't want to alarm people. I heard Blackwater is also going to be taking over security detail duties from the Swiss Guard. This is Ibrahim Traore and Nicolas Maduro. They are in Moscow, Russia, for the Victory Day celebrations tomorrow. And look, I have critiques of both of these guys, but as a Westerner, my critiques don't fucking matter. Like, if I write something to the Venezuelan government, or if I write something to the government of Burkina, do you actually think that these people are going to give a fuck what I have to say? Of course not. I'm a Yankee living in the belly of the beast, the heart of empire. My job, the job of every revolutionary communist in the United States, is to overthrow and topple this state that has ruined both Burkina Faso and Venezuela. They're trying to dig themselves out of the mountain of shit that my country has produced. Our job is to help them by rotting this country from the inside. Our job is not to critique, because critiques can really only be leveled by equals. And the revolutionary movement in the United States is very weak. It's very ineffectual. So we have nothing. We have no basis on which to critique. What, books? We've read a bunch of books. Both of these guys have read books too. And yes, I still think that Ibrahim Traore is hot as fuck. He could definitely get it. There's another occupation going on in New York at Brooklyn College. Brooklyn College students have taken over the East Quad lawn in demands that Brooklyn College, you have nothing to say to Americans. You mad because we took your Pope? Oh, wait, you're Orthodox. You don't care. Demanding that Brooklyn College comply with the 5 City University of New York demands. As Cooney continues to fund and support genocide and continues to refuse to drop the charges on their own students who have protested genocide, Brooklyn College and Cooney demand 5 things. 1, disclose your investments in the Zionist entity and divest from all investments in the Zionist entity. 2, boycott. 3, solidarity. 4, demilitarize. And 5, establish a People's City University of New York. This is really good because it draws demands that are put out by our comrades overseas with demands that actually resonate with the people here at home. Brooklyn College students have named this liberation zone after Hassan Ayad, the 14-year-old martyr from Gaza who died on an empty stomach and because of the military weapons and bombs that we pay for. They need your support. If you're in New York City, you are asked to wear keffiyehs and masks, bring flags, and come in groups. Brooklyn College is in a heavily Zionist neighborhood, so be on high alert. And you can meet up at 2900 Bedford Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, in front of the main gates on Bedford Avenue. When people ask, like, why black people really do not trust white, like, do we really have to keep explaining this to y'all? They hang this guy to a telegraph pole. It's 1911, so I guess this is a telegraph pole. Hang this guy to a pole, and they put, please do not wake him, on his toes. Like, this is a sick joke. These people are smiling. These people are laughing. Were black people the only people lynched in this country? No. But, come on. When you think of lynching in this country, you tend to think of black people. We also have a literal cop city. Domestic violence rate's going to go crazy. Yeah, a literal fucking cop city. This is on the abandoned Floyd Bennett Airfield in New York City. And they want to create thousands of homes for the New York police, FDNY, National Guard, and other heroes who bravely... Don't these people already have places to live? Like, why are you building a whole new-ass cop city? So only cops can walk on neighborhoods now? If you're a cop, you get walkable neighborhoods. Jesus Christ. Here's a shitty thing that happened in 1926, May 11th. On May 11th, 1926, a white mob tortured and lynched a young black man named Henry Patterson in La Belle, Florida, for attempting to ask for a drink of water. Mr. Patterson had been working on a road construction project in La Belle, helping build roads that white people would make use of, when he stopped at a nearby house to ask for a drink of water. A white woman who lived in the home, who probably called herself a Christian, saw Mr. Patterson walking towards the house and, frightened by the sight of a black man approaching, ran screaming into the street. Mr. Patterson fled the area in fear, but neighbors quickly assumed that the woman had been assaulted and began forming a search party to chase Mr. Patterson down. A mob of about 200 people, which included several local officials and prominent citizens, chased Mr. Patterson through the town of La Belle, shooting at him several times and wounding him. For their own amusement, the mob briefly allowed Patterson to outrun them. Mr. Patterson desperately searched for a place to hide, but as he attempted to jump a wire fence, the mob shot at him again and hit him. Mr. Patterson continued to bleed out as the mob placed him on a running board and paraded him down La Belle's main streets. He was still alive as members of the mob kicked him stomped on his face, and cut off pieces of his flesh to wave at onlookers. As the mob approached LaBelle's courthouse, they hanged Mr. Patterson's mutilated body to a nearby tree. Though a local judge personally identified 17 white men he had seen in the mob, including a tax assessor, a town marshal, a school board member, a mail carrier, and the son of a county commissioner, a grand jury later failed to indict a single person involved in Mr. Patterson's killing. Henry Patterson was lynched in LaBelle, Florida in 1926 for asking a white woman for a drink of water. But yes, let's unite with the white working class as they are. Let's see what else has happened. The Reverend George Lee, May 7th, 1955. Yesterday, 60 years ago, voting rights activist killed in Mississippi. The Reverend George Lee, co-founder of the Belzoni, Mississippi, NAACP, and the first African-American to register to vote in Humphreys County since Reconstruction, was shot and killed in Belzoni on May 7, 1955. The Reverend Lee first moved to Belzoni to preach, but began working to register other African-Americans to vote after the local NAACP was founded in 1953. He later served as chapter president and successfully registered some 100 African-American voters in Belzoni, an extraordinary feat considering the significant risk of violent retaliation facing black voters in the Deep South at that time. Belzoni was also home to a white citizens council. They still exist, by the way. They're called the Council of Conservative Citizens, a group of white residents actively working to suppress civil rights activism and maintain white supremacy through threats, economic intimidation, and violence. The council learned of the Reverend Lee's voter registration efforts and targeted him with threats and intimidation, but he was undeterred. So the White Citizens Council was basically an uptown version of the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan was basically like your rednecks, your white trash, your loafers, people that, yeah, they'd grab a rope and they'd hang a black person, but they weren't going to be doing boycotts and shit like that. The White Citizens Council would literally get you put off the plantation and help it fix it so you could starve to death. They would fuck with the mortgage on your house. They would take your land. They were basically the economic Klan. So, while the Reverend Lee was driving home on the night of May 7th, gunshots were fired into the cab of his car, ripping off the lower half of his face. He later died at Humphreys County Medical Center. When NAACP Field Secretary for Mississippi, Medgar Evers, came to investigate the death, the county sheriff boldly denied that any homicide had taken place. Instead, he claimed that the Reverend Lee had died in a car accident, and the lead bullets found in his jaw were dental fillings. An investigation revealed evidence against 2 members of the local White Citizens Council, but when the local prosecutor resisted moving forward, the case stalled. The NAACP memorial service was held in the Reverend Lee's honor, was attended by more than 1,000 mourners. So you have case after case after case after case after case like this, and there was never any justice. Nothing ever happened. You know how they say nothing ever happens? Nothing ever happened. You had a white mob that attacked freedom riders in Anniston, Alabama. You've probably seen pictures of this on Mother's Day. Instead of spending time with their mothers, the Ku Klux Klan decided they wanted to spend time with black people and white allies. So they decided they wanted to show up at the Anniston, Alabama bus station, and they found it locked. So the Ku Klux Klan, under the leadership of William Chappell, they had a mob of 50 people. They had pipes, chains, and bats and guns, and they smashed windows, slashed tires, and dented the sides of the Freedom Riders bus. Even though they had warned the police hours earlier that there was a mob there, they did not arrive until after the assault had begun. Because why? Because they had to go home and change out of their fucking Klan robes. Yeah. And then they burned up the bus, of course. Why? Because only white people can destroy property in this country. On May 1st, May Day, the Confederacy authorizes enslavement or execution of black Union troops. This is the Fort Pillow Massacre, when Confederate troops under the command of William Bedford Forrest, also known as one of the founders of the Ku Klux Klan, massacred black Union troops, their white officers, and their families at Fort Pillow, Tennessee. So a battle cry of the United States colored troops after this massacre was "Remember Fort Pillow." On Christmas Eve, 1862, In a stunning act of Christian charity, in the midst of the Civil War, Confederate President Jefferson Davis issued order to the Confederate Army that all Negro slaves, this is the Confederacy, by the way, every Negro was a slave. All Negro slaves captured in arms be delivered over to the executive authorities of the respective states to which they belonged to be dealt with according to the law of said states. Several months later, on May Day, 1863, a joint resolution adopted by the Confederate Congress and signed by Davis adjusted this policy and declared that all Negroes or biracial people, known back then as mulattoes, slave or free, taken in arms, should be turned over to the authorities in the state in which they were captured, and that their officers would be tried by Confederate military tribunals for inciting insurrection and be subject, at the discretion of the court and the president, to the death penalty. As the Confederacy fought a war against the U.S. government to secede from the Union and form a separate nation rooted in the continued enslavement of black people, its forces and leaders were especially angered by the Union's enlistment of black troops. When these troops were captured or defeated in battle, their treatment at Confederate hands was sometimes deadly and brutal, evidenced by well-documented atrocities such as the massacre of surrendering black troops in Fort Pillow, Tennessee, in April 1864. That's what happens. So these dudes were literally fighting for their lives. They're literally fighting for their lives. India's Maoist guerrillas, the CPI Maoist and its People's Liberation Guerrilla Army, are in a bit of trouble, but if there's one thing that Maoists are good at, it is getting ourselves out of trouble. So they are resisting an intensifying counterinsurgency effort. India is overstretching itself. You can't beef with Pakistan and also beef with the Maoists. They are declaring this a final offensive. And why is this so important? Because the areas in which the Maoists operate are occupied by Adivasis, indigenous people to India, and the areas in which the Maoists operate are extremely mineral rich in the Red Corridor. So India escalates its war against Maoist guerrilla forces under the sweeping military operation Khagar. Government troops have deployed tens of thousands of infantry alongside tanks, airstrikes, and drones. So their goal is basically to surround the Maoists in like a search and destroy mission and wipe them out. The Ministry of Home Affairs has branded Khagar a final push to eradicate. Fuck it, Bangladesh should invade the East. You all have very, very, very interesting opinions on military affairs. Has branded Khagar a final push to eradicate left-wing extremism by mid-2026. Good luck with that one. Ongoing fighting is concentrated in southeastern India's so-called Red Corridor. CPI Maoists recently accused the state again of routinely opening fire on remote villages based on suspicions of guerrilla sympathy. Killed civilians are reportedly labeled as armed militants. This is literally what the United States did in Vietnam. Like, they would literally just burn a village to the ground, kill everybody in there, and then say that, oh yeah, we killed 500 Viet Cong. That's what they would do. Ongoing fighting is concentrated in the same fucking thing. During the latest fighting, authorities mobilized thousands of government soldiers to encircle dozens of PLGA, People's Liberation Guerrilla Army units. The CPI Maoist warns of looming war crimes against captured Maoist prisoners, among them women. Reports say Maoist fighters have fortified their territory with improvised explosives, booby traps, bunkers, and tunnels. CPI Maoist claims that the Khagar offensive aims to crush Adivasi indigenous resistance to extractivist capitalism as the government eyes the resource-rich lands which have diamonds, gold, iron, limestone, dolomite, bauxite, aluminum, coal, and more. That's why they're doing this. These attacks are ultimately aimed at turning the country into a corporate Hindu nation, the group stated. The Maoists have offered peace talks since 2024, but the BJP-led government under Narendra Modi has not responded. Protests against Operation Khagar, often led by Adivasi groups, have erupted across the affected regions. And there was also an interview. On the front lines of revolution, an exclusive interview with the CPI Maoist. How long has the CPI Maoist been engaged in the People's War in India, and what stage is this conflict currently at? This is the fundamental question of the Indian Revolution. To answer this, allow me to go back 5 decades in history. The history of the People's War in India is deeply rooted in the resounding period of the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution, GPCR, of the 60s, which is well known as a turbulent decade. It was a time when two outstanding and front-ranking leaders of our movement, comrades Charu Majumdar and Kanhai Chatterjee, emerged on the scene in the course of applying Marxism-Leninism Maoism. It's interesting that they say that Marxism-Leninism Maoism was still around back then, or maybe he's just referring to Mao Zedong thought. A lot of people, they get too confused. And I guess CPI India Maoist, well, CPI Maoist cadres are not immune to that mistake. It's cool. The concrete conditions of India, and by fighting, exposing, and breaking from the age-old revisionism of the Communist Party of India and the neo-revisionism of the CPI Marxist brand. The Great Naxalbari Revolt, led by Comrade Charu Majumdar in May 1967, was at the time hailed as the Spring Thunder over India by the Communist Party of China, and it proved to be the clarion call for revolutionaries. Under the revolutionary leadership of comrades Charu Majumdar and Kanhai Chatterjee, thousands of cadres broke away from the neo-revisionist CPI Marxists and joined hands with them. Comrade Charu Majumdar formed the Communist Party of India Marxist-Leninist, and Comrade Kanhai Chatterjee formed the Maoist Communist Center, MCC. These two great Marxist teachers conducted a class analysis of Indian society and laid down a political strategy for the Indian New Democratic Revolution. The political strategy of our party is armed agrarian revolution and seizure of area-wide political power. The military strategy of our party is protracted people's war. According to this strategy, we make the countryside our base areas where the enemy is relatively weak, and then we gradually encircle and capture the cities, which are the bastions of the enemy's forces. So, they continue to claim that the Indian Revolution is in a stage of strategic defensive. Basically, every Maoist revolution is in a stage of strategic defensive.
First of all, I want to express the US imperialism is the primary enemy of the oppressed people and oppressed nations, but that in no way applies that.
Yes, CPI Maoists are the same as the Naxalites.
That social imperialist China and other imperialist countries should not be opposed. Ruling classes of China is kept busy in the wild propaganda about socialism with Chinese characteristics, which is nothing but imperialism with Chinese characteristics. Socialism with Chinese characteristics is nothing but false claim of the present imperialist ruling class of China. Few comrades are not clear about the imperialist characters that China attained in the process since restoration of capitalism.
In the multipolar world order, social imperialist China is putting in immense effort to replace the dominant imperialist financial systems like the WTO and IMF with its own financial institutions. That's from an official CPI Maoist spokesperson. So the Naxalites, the CPI Maoist, is not the biggest fan of China. And a lot of people call themselves Maoists without realizing this. Like you have to combat revisionism. Like you cannot be a revisionist Maoist. And a lot of people think that a lot of people are still stuck in the Mao Zedong thought phase. You can't do that. Because when you do that, you make a mockery of Maoism and a mockery of yourself. How does the Narendra Modi government differ from previous administrations? How have the CPI Maoist and POGA experienced the changes under Modi's leadership? The current regime, which is under the leadership of Modi, is different from previous ones. Our party recognizes that Indian feudalism is caste-based feudalism, and Brahmanism is its ideology. All earlier governments were the representatives of the Indian ruling classes, which comprise feudalists and the comprador bourgeoisie, whose ideology is nothing but Brahmanism. But with the current form of the Indian state, as per our party's understanding, is Brahmanic Hindutva fascism. It is under the leadership of the RSS and BJP. At present, Narendra Modi is the key leader of Hindutva fascism, and he has been the Prime Minister of India for a decade. I knew that bastard had been in power for forever. The current BJP government wants to convert India into a Hindu Rashtra nation in the name of New India, which is nothing but comprador bourgeoisie feudal fascism. The BJP government is not even allowing the functioning of formal democracy in big-ass air quotes, and is gradually intensifying its attacks on us at each passing day. The previous governments, which were under the leadership of Congress and the Congress-led Alliance United Progressive Alliance, also implemented anti-people policies and ruthlessly crushed mass movements. All the Indian ruling class movements incurred enormous benefits to the ruling classes and their imperialist bosses. The Modi regime is implementing pro-imperialist policies more aggressively than earlier governments. At the same time, it aggressively implementing the divisive Hindutva agenda. So the party, People's Liberation Guerrilla Army, and the United Front, the three magic weapons of revolution, are taking up several tactical programs to resist Brahmanic Hindutva fascism. Several mass movements under the guidance and leadership of our party are building up in the revolutionary struggle areas against the policies of the Brahmanic Hindutva BJP government. Several heroic military actions were successfully carried out by our PLGA Red Fighters even after the BJP came to power in the center. Recently, on January 16, 2024, our PLGA comrades, you once attended a teach-in about the connections between Hindutva and Zionism. Yeah, like it's a fucking meme that like India stands with Israel. Like, no, that's actually a real fucking thing. Why? Because the same ideology guiding Israel, Zionism, has been changed and adapted to Hinduism in India. Several heroic military actions were successfully carried out by our PLGA Red Fighters even after the BJP came to power in the center. Recently, on January 16, 2024, our PLGA comrades, along with the involvement of hundreds of revolutionary masses, carried out a heroic raid on the Dharmavaram camp in the Bijapur district of Chhattisgarh as a response to the newly started Operation Kagar by the Indian state. 35 security personnel, meaning soldiers, were killed and around 30 of them were seriously hurt. While the repression and encirclements are escalating, resistance against it is also increasing. Read this interview. If you do not come away from this interview as a Maoist, then there is something seriously wrong with you. That something seriously wrong with you is probably the fact that you cannot read. But yeah, all power to the Communist Party of India Maoist. What else is on the menu today? I find kids who are really into electoral politics, especially those that support big centrist Democrats, so distressing. Go smoke crack. Do something normal. No, honestly, I think those kids, their parents are pushing them into that shit. Like, ain't no fucking way a 12-year-old is going to really, really, really like Kamala Harris of his own free will. That shit is astroturfed. Like, these parents, they want their kids to be big time fucking social media influencers, so they make them have these really, really ridiculous. It's a form of abuse. It's a form of abuse, honestly. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. They're abusing their fucking kids. Like, anywhere in the world, you were just going to put your kid out there as a supporter of all this fucking weird ass bullshit. But that's America. I haven't played Civ 7 in a long time. I think it's time to play.
The past is more than what we leave behind.
Yeah, I do not like her. No. Oh yeah, they added Great Britain. I want to be a fucking Brit. Confucius, fuck you, you slave-owning fuck. What the fuck are those shoes? What the fuck? Steal you to make you do what? That sounds concerning, bro. Hatshepsut. Suitably brown for an Egyptian. Machiavelli. I played him once. He's actually really, really good. Oh, Vietnam. Unlocks in Majapahit. Okay. Simón Bolívar, el Libertador. Okay, gotta stick with hat.
I never lost a passenger. Never crashed my train. Well, not many can say the same.
Roman Harriet Tubman. Let's do oxen.
Say the word, and Axum shall perch on the gateway between worlds. May only the worthy pass and know its majesty.
I haven't thought about Stronghold in years. Wood needed, my lord. You have been playing for a very long time. Let's go see what fuckers we gotta fuck up. That is very cool. Thank you for letting me know about that. Is she? There we go. I still can't believe we have a fucking American Pope. Like, why didn't they pick the Filipino guy? That makes the most sense. Like, that's how you reward, like, if you know anything about Filipinos, you know that most of them outside of Mindanao are extremely, extremely, extremely Catholic. Like, you could have at least thrown them a bone as a reward for their continued loyalty to your colonizer-ass religion. But no, you had to pick the fucking American white dude. Shameless. Oh, mangrove swamp. Yes, I am streaming early. We have discovered a new continent. Our explorer is naming it Asia. Rubies. Shiny.
The fair...
Always the Republic. You've already explored my island. What are you just wandering around? Are you hoping I kill you? Your scout's name is John Fetterman?
The cage. The tourist should get another lens. See straight inside. Wouldn't see Big Rock then. He would see that Kunia, living right inside there as from the beginning.
As a good Maoist, I am obliged to destroy Confucius. Criticize Lin Biao, criticize Confucius. I don't really think that Lin Biao had a like codified ideology. He was a big fan of like military adventurers bullshit. A lot of what we can call proto third worldism came out of Lin Biao's head.
Oh,
The imperial core is the city of the world. The global south is the countryside of the world, etc.
do nothing.
Ada, a pleasure. Tell me, what are your thoughts on calculus?
It's dumb. I hate calculus. I've never studied it, but I already know it's bad. The turmoil in the Middle East can be traced to the UK, USA, and France. Don't forget Sykes-Picot. Indeed. Thank you for reminding us. Rice. You all want to see a Bannerlord stream? I'm actually a pretty fair hand at that now. Of course she does, too. Ooh, gold. Of course she would.
Do nothing. The spoke. To that play. The spoken.
Well, that wasn't very nice. Cool.
When I was those who delight. He was the
What faction do I like playing in Bannerlord? I like horse archer fuckery, so definitely the Crusades. Play them right, they're basically indefeatable. Feels like cheating, but hey. Also pretty fond of the Battanians as well. Basically anybody that's not the Empire. Empire is boring.
He was the
I am with some good fucking rubies.
to that place. May the might of the Lord cause no enemy to resist me, no enemy to follow me.
Very aesthetic.
The essence. There is another. When I was young.
Simplement, citoyen Lafayette, s'il vous plaît.
I'll be back. Cigarette break. If you haven't picked up smoking yet, please do not. It's a stupid, disgusting, stinky habit. And we're back. One of the comrades who is more keyed into Catholic shit than I am, said that the choice of Leo for the new Pope's regnal name, I guess it's called. Ooh, that volcano is finna come. Anyways, the previous guy who was named Leo the 13th, was apparently relatively progressive when it came to workers. I cannot speak to his progressiveness regarding other things because I have not fallen down a Pope Wikipedia rabbit hole, but it's promising. We could have had Burke, we could have had Sarah, we could have had Tuxon, we could have had a lot of shitty people. It's religion that organizes a substantial part of the lives of 1.4 billion people, so I guess sometimes the best you can get is the best you can hope for. Does that make sense? I hope it made sense. Yes, I was hoping for Tegel as well. I wonder what Tegel's connection, like, orientation is towards the New Democratic movement over there. I know there are a lot of, like, progressive Catholics that are involved. Oh, dear. That's a very angry Kano. Ooh, we've got an adjunct professor. I wonder what percentage of the United States left is comprised of adjunct professors. Our next Gonzalo is going to be an adjunct professor.
Ships.
Fucking Scout is just staring at the ocean. Sure, I'll ally with the Brits. Well, the future Brits. What could go wrong? Big ass, honking ass lighthouse. Chinese have its beat on money. We are roughly third, fourth in science behind the Greeks. Lagging in culture, not lagging in happiness. I've also started playing Armor Reforger.
Ships.
At the request of one of my DSA Liberation comrades. I guess we're going to end up being the Gamer Caucus. It's very fun.
Even a great...
Let's build a cute little villa.
An army is a miniature of the society which produces it.
CLR James? This game is made by fucking commies.
Even a great...
I think I would like Andor. I'll check it out. Leave me alone, you fucking British parasite. I'm building an altar because my people need Jesus. A very aesthetic city.
He heard the... See what we can see. Navigable rivers. I set up here.
Season 2 of Andor seems to be pro-Palestine. Fascinating. I did not give you permission to build that fucking close to me. Don't stand still. Fuck off. cute little garden. I see you, fucker.
Perfection. Get rid of them so I can settle. Out of the way, you idiots. He heard.
I don't want to fight that big motherfucker yet.
Africa will...
And let's just build our amphitheater right up under a volcano. What's the worst that could happen? Which Iraqi Pope just dropped? You're gonna be seeing a dude of this fucking wandering through the halls of the Vatican with a white shiesty on. That will definitely get a lot of black people to convert to Catholicism. Where's my archers? Y'all ready to hear drill music in Latin? Ye is a Nazi. We do not speak of him here. He's not Polish. Leo is Spanish, Italian, and French. Regular Midwestern mutt.
Remain.
No, he's not. He just lived in Peru for 40 years. I'm playing the new one. It's pretty dope. Fuck out of here. Guess you should get to clearing, dear Amon.
There is a very
Got a little archipelago going here. I should have played this fucking Jose Rizal. Yeah, I think I might play as Bolivar next game. El Gran Libertador.
Perfection.
Bulgaria.
From the heart of the Sahel, the Songhai will emerge upon the river's waves to take the world by storm.
Any opinions on Chen Boda? He's dead. I actually haven't read much about him. I have much better things to do with my life than study old dead Chinese leaders that got criticized during the Cultural Revolution, if I recall correctly. Plenty of reserves. Stop putting your units to sleep. Anarchists will see that and cry on Twitter about unjustified hierarchies. BRG is enforcing bedtime in his Civ game. He can't even avoid fucking being a fucking dictator in gaming. If you see ICE kidnapping someone or a cop kneeling on someone's neck in front of you in real life, what do? Well, it depends on how many people you have around you that you can trust.
Niccolò Machiavelli, per servirvi.
Spanish Machiavelli. Wow, how bored you.
Intendete in qual modo?
There exists.
not have a Shanghai city named after Romans? Timbuktu.
Wealth so...
I think I'd hate myself if I didn't act on my moral duty to intervene. You also have a moral duty to be smart. Like if you run up on an ICE agent or somebody by yourself, all that's going to happen is you're going to get the shit beat out of you. And the person that you're trying to help rescue is going to be not going to be rescued. So it depends on the context. But in most instances, you objectively cannot act by yourself. That's no reason to feel guilty. That's why you have to ensure that you have a crew of people with you that can actually, like, make sure that what you're doing actually works. Otherwise, you're not going to help people. You're going to hurt people, and you're going to hurt yourself. I'm more of a scientific person. Economic victory, that type of thing. Or culture. I do not like wars. Wars are a fucking drain. If I'm forced to, I'll still fight them, but I'm not going to be happy about it. Now, getting rid of people like this, assholes, barbarians, and bandits, I'm definitely down for that. But, like, yeah. Wars are really a waste of time. Do it. What is it good for? Absolutely fucking nothing. Ooh, pretty boat. Get rid of these fucking barbarian motherfuckers. This is why it's good to have a lot of reserves. You keep killing my guys, I can keep making more guys. Man, you still got your asses worked. Nice.
One finds oneself.
Y'all are not the first people to recommend Andor to me, by the way. It gets as Marxist can get in the United States. I am a friend of all future colonized people. Your sacrifice is noted.
Matsuyama.
Hanging on a fucking thread, boy. Refuse to get dragged into white man's wars, or in this case, white women's wars.
Yes.
Liberal politicians protesting against genocide. Yeah. Ain't happening, but it is a work of fiction, is it not? Okay. Mongols.
Plenty of money.
It's basically a more aesthetic version of Civ 5, I guess. I haven't played Civ 5 in a dog age. Walls everywhere.
نقابل جميعا مقابلة جيدة على طريق السفر على الأقل.
What are you doing, bro? Oh, you're a missionary.
From the new land of gold.
Muslim Songhai. Repeating history here. Yeah, Civ 7 did look like pretty cartoonish. I mean, not 7, 6. Still enjoyed it, though. We're listening to the music of the Sahel. I'm playing as Ibrahim Traore's ancestors, Songhai, and my ancestors as well. Well, some of them. I do have Senegambian ancestry. That'll ruin your day.
Colonialism is not satisfied
France,
merely with holding
yeah.
a people in its grip.
This game was made by
But it
communists.
turns to the past of the oppressed people and destroys it.
They've got Zora Neale Hurston, they've had CLR James, now they've got Fanon. This is a communist game. Wolf Civ.
The map.
The Arabs have been at war with the Spaniards. What else is new? Ooh.
The king.
If your computer is older, it will definitely, it'll definitely give you some problems. I'll leave it at that. Look at that medieval urban sprawl. Please don't try to drag me into a war. You keep calling yourself the center of the world. That's why I followed Machiavelli into war with you. And because I want this.
أنا لست جندي ولكني أستعين بهم. ها هم خادمون.
I am no soldier, but I employ them. I'm gonna have to use that one. War is good for the blood. Oh dear. I thought Arabs liked horses, not ships. Y'all are desert people, bro. Fuck this, I'm too hungry for this shit. Time to get in fucking war. Let's see what else we have to learn about Pope Leo. Oh yeah, of course people have been gambling on it.
The Pope in the near future.
Mr. President,
They've already called. When is that? Do you have a time?
They have already spoken to us, and we'll see what happens. But again, to have the Pope from the United States of America, that's a great honor.
He don't like you, bro.
Sir, has your message Sir, has you...
He does not like you.
That's great.
You're full of shit. He doesn't like you.
Coming to the central loggia of the Basilica.
Very special moment.
Very special moment.
Very special indeed. Special and special derogatory. This is what happened in New York yesterday after the breakup. Forced breakup. We talked about this yesterday, but like the police literally chained these people inside Butler Library, which was occupied and turned into a liberated zone, and just started beating the hell out of them and arresting them. I believe 89 people were arrested, which was the largest mass arrest at Columbia since Hinds Hall. So this is what happened afterwards. I hate seeing black cops. That's an ACLU protest.
Touch me! I'm on a sidewalk! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! I told you don't touch me! On a sidewalk! You move back! Come on, you move back! Don't touch me! You move back! Don't touch me!
Okay. Name and badge. That's right.
You back up! We're on a sidewalk! No, you back up! We're on a sidewalk! You back up! We're on a sidewalk! No, we're on a sidewalk! Clear the block! Clear the block! Keep moving!
They're trying to force the people back onto the sidewalk. They're called keffiyehs, not Arab scarves. I also know I have no plans to run for DSA NPC this year, mainly because I don't think I'll be a very effective NPC member if I lose my fucking mind. If you live in the city of New York, this is what your tax dollars are paying for, and they want to build a cop city, a literal cop city for people that do this. Now, these are security guards, but in this context, the same difference. Like, these are security guards actively engaging in police activity. These are not security guards that just sit in the fucking box.
Excuse me, back up, please.
There are 10 huge men on top of him.
Idiots, though. And finally, in commemoration of the stunning defeat of the United States Navy in the Yemen region, a very, very good and accurate Chinese song.
美国的兵，他是个废货，纸糊的老虎，空空的壳。在朝鲜，咱们跟他较量过，那么呀呀的哟。他一提手一抻脖，腿肚子转筋儿打哆嗦，乖乖的交了枪，当了俘虏，那么呀呀的哟。哈哈，他傻乎乎的呀，还竟是大个啊！哎呦。 美国的兵，他是个废货，纸糊的老虎，空空的壳。在越南，越南人民打得好来嘛呀呀的哟！他飞机被打落，尾巴冒黑烟，军舰趁人被淹，够不了底儿，搬不了天，腿儿一蹬，眼儿一翻，肚子灌个第6元。想回美国，他回也回不去来嘛呀呀的哟！哈哈。 让鱼别下蟹，毁了餐，一的呀的哟。
Don't want to end up like this? Don't join the American military.